Hi, Joe. Joe, thanks so much for chatting with me, Joe. I really do appreciate it.
Of course, of course. I'm very happy to do that.
Oh,
Always happy to sit down, talk things, talk whatever new projects coming out.
well, I appreciate that. AINBO is adorable. It's very cute and a lot of fun.
It really is. I mean, when you look at it, I mean, you look at the characters and the tapestry that we weave, with the animation style and the look and the environment of these characters, and you know, you've got your comic relief, obviously, but then you have the main story of Ainbo herself, and it's a very cute story with, and it's not too heavy, but it's just the right amount of like just enough to kind of pull you and take you on an emotional journey.
Absolutely, absolutely, and I love the storyline and I was going to say the villain, I suppose, is the way to turn the way they sort of unravel that is really fascinating.
It really is. I mean, there are some twists and turns in this movie, which again, you don't necessarily see coming, and it definitely kind of hits you in the feels at certain points. Again, not trying to give anything away, but I'm sure you kind of know what I'm referring to.
Yes. Oh, absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, what was it that excited you most about being part of the project? About Vaca? Am I saying it right? Is this Vaca?
Vaca, yeah.
Vaca.
I'd worked with Ned Lott, who is the director on this, on a couple of previous projects, and so Ned and I have a great chemistry working together. And he said, I think you'd be great for this role. I think you'd be great for it. And so, kind of getting a chance to sit down with him and really sink my teeth into, Vaca and who he is, and then also playing opposite Dino, um, who is Dio. It's great. It's great to be able to have fun people to play opposite, and so you kind of just figure out how you fit into the greater piece of a larger picture, and again, we're the comic relief. We get to just have fun. We get to play, and there's some serious moments here or there, obviously, but for the most part, you could just kind of stretch out those goofy cartoon muscles as much as you want, and it's always fun to play with.
Absolutely. And you've got lots of experience with voice work. I was looking over your IMDb page, and I mean, lots of gaming as well, and animation. Like, what goes through your mind as you're creating the voice for one of your characters?
I mean, it's a collaborative process between yourself and the casting director, or the studio, or the booth director themselves. So it's a process where sometimes you might have something in your head that you're very fixated on and that you know what you want. However, the director might have their own suggestions or their own input, or certain things that you want to shoot for, or so on and so forth. And so it's this process where you start something, and then over the course of your session, or sessions, I guess I should say, you just continually refine the process. And so it's this discovery. When I was working on Zelda Breath of the Wild, we had kind of, again, myself and the director had really kind of zeroed in on the character, but we didn't get dialed in until maybe a session or two later. So much so that we ended up having to go back and redo those first that first session, because again, you're still discovering the character. You're discovering their ticks and their needs and their wants and their mannerisms. And so again, it's as much a discovery for you as it is for the audience.
That's really interesting. So as I guess my perception was always that you just sort of walk in and say, well, this is what they're like. But what you're saying is it sort of unfolds along the way. Is that?
It can. It can. I mean, when you have a director, I mean, again, it's a process where you're working with the writers or the directors, and it's just okay, and this happens, and this happens, and this happens to this character, and it causes them to do this, or you go on the journey that the audience is on as well, and so yes, you're kind of privy to some of the bigger picture, backstage type stuff, but again, you're still discovering it, and so. It's a process of just kind of pulling back these different layers and discovering the character.
It's interesting too as you talk about that because I think that's one of the key themes of the film, as well as sort of this idea of learning on the journey. I love the relationship that Vaca has with excuse me with Dio, but with Ainbo, because there's this sort of this interesting tension there.
It is, and it's a beautiful process to watch, to see her mature and grow. Just in the short time that we see her in this film, where she wants to be this hunter and she wants to be this leader in her tribe, and all these things, and it's never a clean, straightforward progression. There's always going to be setbacks, and that's just life. So why should our animated films be any different? It's authentic.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. One of the things too I thought was really interesting in the film, without giving anything away, but the nature of evil looks
Yeah.
different as it goes on. There's a really heavy theme as well of ruining our rainforests
Yes.
as the film progresses. But there's really fascinating tension for these characters, as each one of them sort of seems to believe different things about what is the problem, what is evil here.
Yeah.
And I think that's really interesting.
It is definitely an interesting take on everything, because you look at indigenous people and their struggles, and but they try to preserve nature as much as they possibly can. And we as a society, at least here in North America, kind of think of things in terms of, oh, well, progress this and progress that, but is it really progress? Is it really progress if we're, if it's is it progress at the expense of our natural resources?
Yeah.
And so it does make you think. Some of these things, the rainforests and you know all of our natural resources need to be preserved.
Yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. One of the things I loved about the film too, um, especially through the eyes of Ainbo, the idea, uh, so I want to say spirit animals, but I don't know if that's the proper terminology they're using.
Spirit guides.
Spirit guides.
Spirit guides.
Spirit guides.
And believe me, we definitely, Vaca and Dio really, really take that title to heart. Spirit guides. We wear it loud and proud. We are absolutely 100% your spirit guides, and again, they're new to the process themselves. So again, they're kind of learning to be the best spirit guides that they possibly can, and of course, obviously, they have their own setbacks in that department as well, but they figure it out by the end.
They do. They do. They do. I wondered about this. To me, this is an interesting idea. I think this is in the film, but the idea of the importance of wonder.
Yeah.
I was wondering. Well, I was wondering for you, with these characters, with this story, why you think the idea of wonder is so important in storytelling.
It's important because it appeals to every one of us. We as human beings all have our wants and our dreams, and it for an animated film, it's very easy to kind of pass it off and just say, oh, well, that sense of wonder and amazement is very easy to attain for just children. But you can't forget the adults.
Mm.
It's important to explore those themes with your adult audience too. I mean, that's half of your crowd right there. So why wouldn't you look to explore those themes and thoughts with your adult audience like that? Like, why just cater exclusively to the children? And that's always been something that I've always been a big fan of. And inversely, when you do appeal to children, you never want to talk down to them. You never want to, kind of condescend or come from that place. I guess what I'm trying to say. And so, if you treat the adults and kind of appeal to their childlike sensibilities, and appeal to the children and appeal to their more mature qualities. Kids are smarter than what we give them credit for. I mean, again, they could see right through things. And so if you treat your audience with a level of respect on both ends, I think you could achieve some great things.
Absolutely, absolutely, and that comes through. I mean, this film is truly fun for all ages,
Yeah.
and it's I say I keep using the word fun, but it genuinely
Well,
genuinely
it just
funny.
it has a ton of heart.
Yeah,
It has
heart
a
is the
ton of
word.
heart, and with a coming of age story like this, I mean, we've all experienced something like this. Where you're growing up in your adolescence, and you maybe you want to grow up a little too fast. And you learn your lessons along the way, and you take a couple of lumps on the head, both physically and or emotionally. And again, that kind of appeals to something that adults and children alike can both identify with.
Mm,
Again, it's a very heartfelt story that I think everybody will enjoy.
absolutely. Just Joe, just thinking like, what is it for you that you hope that everybody takes away from the film?
I want them to have that renewed sense of wonder,
Mm,
amazement, but also really kind of think about, kind of those roles within our family society that we have. Look at kind of breaking those molds, if you will. Also, a preservation of our natural resources and nature's beauty. Like, my gosh, we could always afford for a better treatment of our natural resources and the rainforest and all of that.
yeah, absolutely. Um,
Yeah.
I appreciate that, Joe, and I appreciate your time. The film is a joy. It's a lot
Oh,
of fun and beautiful. There's some
it
beautiful
really is.
animation and color work in this
Uh,
in this film.
that was something that really caught me, from the get go. I think it was like our first session where they had some. I think it might have been like the teaser trailer or something like that they had been showing at, film. I want to say conventions, I
Yeah,
know, but like film festivals and things like that, where I got a chance to see just the trailer and just, I mean, having that visual of the rainforest and AINBO there, and Motelo Mama. It was just, I mean, it's captivating, and it draws your interest. And so immediately, right off the bat, before even working on that first session, you already know the world in which you are going to be living in, and it is so important for us, in order to do our job correctly, to know the sort of just the ambiance and the visuals and the world in which we're going to be living in. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. It pops. And of course, the giant sloth. I cannot think of his name. Uh,
Pelejo.
Pelejo.
Pelejo. I love,
Beautiful.
love,
Love
love
that
that
scene.
character. I mean, you can never go wrong with the sloth. Never go wrong with the sloth. So, again, I remember reading that in the script, and I freaking loved it, man. I thought it was just the, most hilarious thing.
Yeah,
So, I think fans are going to be in for a real treat.
yeah, absolutely. I really appreciate the chance to speak with you, Joe. It
Thank you.
really is a privilege, and I wish you the best, and I wish you the best of luck with the film. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Have a great day.
You too. Take care.
Thank you.